All right, well, let's move to the defense. The first little bit of defensive talk that we've had today, obviously the Vipers position for Notre Dame. Curious as to what you're thinking is going on as far as that is concerned.
So new DC, right? Chris Ash coming
Mhm.
in after bouncing around basically following Urban Meyer around the NFL for a while. So there's definitely questions at the safety position, right? There's questions at the interior line. There's also questions at the Vyper position because all of your projected Vipers, Jordan Batallo, Boubacar Traore, they're coming off injuries. So I think as far as Vipers concerned, it's Tuli Alamaka and who? Logan Thomas?
Yeah, Logan Thomas at
So
213.
that's definitely going to be an interesting. It's going to be some interesting defensive formations in the blue gold game. That's for certain. Do you think it'll be? I mean, both Botello and Traore are coming off of pretty bad injuries. Do you think that there's any cause for concern there? Or is Tuli Alamaka a good enough player that if they need to be eased in, he can hold down the forward enough?
I think he can, but I'm not like you asked like a confidence level type of thing. That is one where I don't think that we're going to have an answer by the end of this. There's just like I think it's very similar to tight end position where we're just going to have to see how some of these guys come back from injury. We're just going to have to see exactly what they look like and what our new DC is going to look at, exactly what he wants, how he wants this defense to look. There's just so many moving pieces, and I think that that's just not exactly something that I can feel comfortable saying that we're going to know by the end of the spring. You know?
Yeah, and because most of the other positions, like it's going to be Gabe Rubio, and it's probably going to be Donovan Heinisch. Though lots of nice things are being written about Jared Dawson and Jason Onye is coming back. So I feel okay with that too deep. I mean, it's not. They've had worse two deeps on the interior. And then as far as the field goes, Notre Dame's had a problem with that true rush end position in recent years. That they haven't been able to get the kind of pressure that you see some other teams get rushing just for. And I think some of it has to do with the way and the misses that they've had recruiting that DN spot. But Bryce Young seems like he's going to be an absolute star. And Joshua Burnham looks like he's solid already. I really like that. They really like Christopher Burgess as well. He's got to get a little bit bigger. But I really like that side of the D line.
I actually think that the defensive line is borderline and starting to become underrated with how I think we have like so much unrecognized depth for this team. And I understand we don't really have the top of the line individual that we might just be like, I mean, there's certainly one of these guys is going to be that, right? But I just feel like it's starting to become like it's a less of a concern to me whenever I look at this defensive line.
Yeah, I think that's probably I think the underrated part's true because they adopted under Elko and then Clark Lee the idea of waves, right? And they've really set up the roster basically since Elko and then Lee that they're going to keep rotating guys in. And that's how they and the depth of the line and the ability, and you saw the depth on display with the amount of injuries that they had at the Vyper last year, where it's just like boom, 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 boom. And it's like, oh my gosh. But they made it to the national championship game. And like, if it's Heinisch, if it's Dawson, like Rubio, Onye, Muckham, like these are, you can put these guys in and it's not like there's a dramatic drop off. And I think that when you're up against an offensive line that is the 5, maybe they have a swing, but the 5, and you can keep bringing fresh waves in and package players. I think there is something to be said for that. And the only thing that I think that they lacked was that true game wrecking, like TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, most recently Abdul Carter for Penn State, like a guy that wrecks a game, that will allow your DC to say, I can rush 4, like we saw the Philadelphia Eagles do. I can rush 4, I can get pressure, and then we can play our defense. And I feel like they are just a dominant player on the end away from having a truly, truly elite defense. And they were pretty elite last year, but like truly elite.
This team has 11 scholarship players on the defensive line, 10 in the linebacking group, and it's a shame that ACLs tear.
They do,
but I think they're going to figure it out, though. I really do. And you're right about the game record. That it changes. It just flips the entire game plan, I feel like, for some of these offenses upside down. And just to not have that extra, it's going to have to be something that's almost like high school recruited. I feel, you're not going to get that in the transfer portal, I feel.
Not usually. I mean, how lucky was Florida State to find Jared Verse off the scrap heap, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a kid that, like, Jared Verse was the kid who was at, like, directional state A&M up in the Northeast, and he was like a tight end. And then during COVID, he just decided he wanted to be a DN and just started working out, and then had like a monster year, and then went to Florida State. And yeah,
I feel like that's the only path that it could happen, where a player is transferring maybe either like back up, and they are changing positions. I feel like that is almost borderline the only way that could happen.
Or if you have like, or if you're willing to like go the Texas A&M route and to just Brinks truck up to somebody.
Well, we know Notre Dame they might end up doing that eventually one of these years, like especially for that specific position. We stopped with the quarterback rentals, so maybe we can
run to DN. Yeah. But hopefully they don't need to. Hopefully they hit on the recruiting this cycle, and Bryce Young and Josh Burnham are the goods.